The story of the Mustang is a classic tale of risk and reward. Back in the early 60s, Ford was in a precarious position. Their last big gamble, the Edsel, had been an unmitigated disaster, costing the company a fortune. Recognizing this, their visionary executive, Lee Iacocca, and his team set out to create something entirely different. So grab a coffee, settle in, because this is everything you need to know about the Ford Mustang. The first generation, which ran from 1964 to 1973, is the stuff of legends. Enthusiasts often refer to the earliest models as the 1964 and a half, a nickname that distinguishes them from later 1965 models due to a series of subtle production changes that occurred after August 1964. When it first launched, it came with a variety of engine options. The inline-six lineup included a 170 cubic inch engine, later replaced by a more powerful 200 cubic inch unit that produced 120 horsepower and 190 pound-feet of torque. However, the real stars were the V8s, which outsold the six-cylinder models by a 2-to-1 margin. The V8 options were a big deal, and they included the 289 cubic inch V8 in several configurations. The entry-level option used a 2-barrel carburetor to produce 200 horsepower and 282 pound-feet of torque. A step up was the 4-barrel that bumped output to 225 horses and 305 pound-feet of torque. The most revered engine of the era was the high-performance Hypo K-Code, which was factory-rated at 271 horses. For those who craved even more power, later models introduced big block V8s, including a 390 cubic inch and the legendary 428 Cobra Jet, which also necessitated a larger chassis for the 1967 model year. It also offered a choice of body styles, a coupe, a convertible, and a sleek fastback that joined the lineup a little later. The fastback, or sports roof as it was later called, proved incredibly popular and helped define its image. The immense popularity of the first generation is undeniable, with total sales reaching nearly 3 million units. This phenomenal success wasn't just a result of a great car, it was a perfect storm of smart marketing, a vehicle that was both sporty and accessible, and a public that was ready for something new and exciting. You can't talk about the Mustang without mentioning Carroll Shelby, a legendary name in American performance market. Ford's partnership with Shelby was a masterstroke, born from a desire to transform the Mustang from a fun pony car into a legitimate high-performance machine. Shelby's first creation was the 1965 Shelby GT 350, a true masterpiece. It was a stripped-down, track-focused beast that featured a stiffened suspension, better brakes, and wider tires. All 350s were painted in iconic Wimbledon white with Guardsman blue stripes, and they were designed for one purpose: to dominate the SCCA racing series. The Shelby GT 500, on the other hand, was the street kid. It took the performance to another level with a larger 428 Cobra Jet V8. This evolution from a pure, race-driven machine to a more commercially viable balance of style and power is a clear trend in the Shelby Mustang's history. But in 1969, Carroll Shelby was no longer directly involved in the GT program, and the designs became largely styling modifications to a stock Mustang. The Mustang's story isn't all sunshine and drag races. The car faced its greatest test during the tumultuous 1970s. The oil crisis of that decade forced a major pivot in the automotive industry, shifting demand away from big, thirsty muscle cars towards smaller, more fuel-efficient vehicles. Ford's response was the Mustang II, which debuted in 1974. Based on the humble Ford Pinto, it was smaller and lighter, a stark departure from the large, powerful Mustangs of the late 60s. While it is reviled by many purists, the Mustang II was a critical model that kept the brand alive during a challenging time. It was kind of a commercial success considering the oil crisis, with over 385,000 units sold in its first year, proving it was a necessary evolution despite its poor performance and styling. The absence of a V8 initially was a major point of contention, but Ford brought it back in 1975. The Mustang's true comeback, however, began with the third generation, the legendary Fox body, which ran from 1979 to 1993. This new Mustang was lighter, longer, and wider than the Mustang II. It became an absolute legend in its own right, known for its versatility and massive aftermarket support, something that is still true today. The V8 came back almost immediately, and we saw the return of the popular GT trim and the first convertible in a decade. There were also some cool new special editions, like the turbocharged SVO with a 2.3-liter turbo engine in 1984, and the high-performance SVT Cobra in 1993. The 1985 high-output 5-liter V8 engine delivered a solid 210 horsepower, which was a huge deal at the time. What I find so compelling is that its longevity and popularity are a direct result of its simple and durable design. The Fox body was the everyman's performance car, something I think is a huge part of the Mustang's appeal. This era is a fantastic comeback story, as the car returned to its traditional sporty form with a lighter frame and an iconic design and became a massive hit. Sales were phenomenal, with a total of over 2.6 million units sold, making it the second highest-selling generation of all time. The fourth generation, known as the SN95, ran from 1994 to 2004. It was a complete redesign that brought a more rounded aesthetic, while still retaining the classic Mustang styling. This SN95 platform is notable for several key developments, including the move away from the legendary 5-liter V8 to the 4.6-liter modular V8. But here's the thing. While the horsepower figures looked the same on paper, the new engine was down on low-end torque compared to the pushrod motor, and the new platform itself had gained about 300 pounds compared to the Fox body. This meant the new 4.6-liter GT was actually a tick slower in real-world performance than its predecessor. The most important technological advancement of this generation, however, was the introduction of a factory-installed independent rear suspension on the high-performance SVT Cobra in 1999. This early adoption was an initial test of a technology that would later become a defining feature of the modern Mustang, signaling that Ford was listening to the demands for better handling, albeit slowly. So, where does the fourth generation stand in history? Well, it was a crucial bridge that took the Mustang from its aging Fox platform and brought it into the modern era. Today, it represents a true sweet spot for enthusiasts. It offers modern reliability, classic styling cues, and an accessible platform for performance. The modern era of the Mustang began with a bang. The fifth generation, introduced in 2005, was a huge win for Ford, as it brought back the retro-inspired styling of the original 1960s, which everyone loved. The S197 platform was a huge leap forward in terms of design and power. There was also the return of the iconic 5-liter Coyote V8 engine in 2011, a massive leap forward from the 4.6-liter V8 that preceded it. The Coyote was rated at a whopping 412 horsepower, and the base V6 models now made 305 horses, more than a V8 GT from just a few years earlier. This generation also gave us some true monsters, like the 662 horsepower Shelby GT 500, a car so powerful it was a direct challenge to the Mustang's rivals. The market reception was fantastic, selling over 1 million units in the US alone. It re-established the Mustang as the king of the pony car segment. Its main competitors were, and always have been, the Chevrolet Camaro and the Dodge Challenger. The Camaro went on a break, but it came back in 2010, and the Challenger's modern revival also started in the late 2000s. These three cars created a new pony car wars, and the Mustang led the charge with its blend of retro style and performance. In my opinion, this fifth gen was a pivotal moment in the car's history. It's the generation that proved the Mustang was more than just a name. It was a legacy that could be brought back to life with the right design and a whole lot of horsepower. It gave us a true American icon, and for that, I'll always be a fan. The sixth generation, aka the S550, came out in 2015 and was a game changer. It was a truly global product, and for the first time in its history, every model received a factory-standard independent rear suspension. Under the hood is where things get really interesting, because Ford gave us a fantastic range of engines. The entry-level engine was a 3.7-liter V6 that didn't last long, as it was discontinued in 2017. The real star of the show for many was the new 2.3-liter EcoBoost four-cylinder engine. I know a four-cylinder in a Mustang, but trust me, this turbocharged beast put out 310 horsepower and 320 pound-feet of torque at launch. But of course, the heart and soul of the Mustang is the V8, and it delivered in a big way. The GT came with the glorious 5-liter Coyote V8. At launch, it produced 435 horsepower and 400 pound-feet of torque. Over the years, they tweaked and refined it, with later models pushing the power to 460 horses. The sound alone is worth the price of admission. Then you have the legendary special editions. The GT350 with its flat-plane crank Voodoo V8, a 5.2-liter monster that screamed to 8,000 RPM, and the Shelby GT500 with its supercharged 5.2-liter V8, making 760 horsepower. It was largely a sales success, especially considering the overall decline in car sales as SUVs became more popular. It outsold its main competitors, the Camaro and the Challenger, for a large portion of its run. While its total U.S. sales didn't quite reach the 1 million mark of some previous generations, it was a dominant force in its segment. It brought a new level of sophistication and performance to the Mustang name, which resonated with a lot of people. It proved that the Mustang was more than just an American muscle car. It was a global performance icon. The seventh generation, the S650, debuted in 2024, and it's heavily embracing new technology. The engine lineup includes a redesigned 2.3-liter EcoBoost turbocharged four-cylinder that produces 315 horsepower, as well as a revised Coyote V8 that now makes 480 horsepower in the GT model, with an increase to 486 horses when equipped with the optional active valve dual exhaust. The most honest and interesting conversation we can have about the Mustang's future is about two very different cars, the Mustang Mach-E and the Mustang GTD. According to Ford, this product diversification is a strategic move to protect and grow the brand in a market that is rapidly shifting towards electric and crossover vehicles. The Mustang Mach-E leverages the sacred Mustang name to make an electric vehicle more appealing to a broader audience. At the same time, Ford is trying to reassure everyone that the Mustang will not go soft with the Mustang GTD. It's a street-legal version of Ford's GT3 race car, featuring a supercharged 5.2-liter Predator-based V8 that produces over 800 horsepower. With an official sub-7-minute lap time at the Nürburgring, the GTD is a direct counter to any notion that the brand is losing its edge. It isn't any new model. It's a statement that Ford is ready to take on the world's best supercars. The rumored hybrid Mustang is another example of Ford's calculated strategy, offering traditional V8 power with a nod to future efficiency. This shows the delicate balance required to evolve a legacy brand in a rapidly changing automotive landscape.